Hi everyone, my name is Steve Bryant and I'm here to do my video presentation for the critical thinking class at Manchester Community College. Anyone who's watched the news or read a newspaper or anything like that in the past year knows that gun control is a hot topic, hot debate. Congress is trying to pass a bunch of laws. The president gives speeches on it on a regular basis. It just is a really hot topic with all of these mass shootings that we've had, school shootings, murders, all that type of stuff. And the big topics that are in the news now are they're actually trying to pass a bill where assault rifles and high capacity magazines are outlawed. High capacity magazines being anything that holds more than 10 rounds in a given magazine. Just so we can, just so we're all on the same page here, this is a picture of a rifle. Many of you may recognize it from the Old West days where, you know, cowboys would ride up on horses having these. This gun right here holds the bullets right in this little tube here and can hold, some of them can actually hold up to 15 shots, and every time you cock this lever right here and pull the trigger, a bullet flies out. The only difference between this gun and an assault rifle, which is this picture, this is a typical assault rifle that most military and police carry. The bullets are actually held right here in this magazine. Can still hold the same amount, although you can get extended magazines that hold 30 rounds and stuff like that, but your typical magazine this size will hold 30 rounds in it. And this weapon, every time you pull the trigger, a bullet comes out. Now, not to be confused here, because in the movies you see all the time these machine guns where people are just pulling the trigger and spraying. Well, those are against the law no matter what. As civilians, we are not allowed to own fully automatic rifles. There are obviously exceptions where you can get permits and stuff like that, but it is really hard to obtain a license to carry a fully automatic assault rifle. So just to give you a background on what we're talking about, the difference between an assault rifle and a regular rifle, not too much of a difference, but yet they're trying to ban the assault rifles and the regular rifles like you would have gotten back in the 1800s, no problem, but they can still fire relatively quickly. Two of the uh, two of the most high-profile cases that's have been in the news recently. The well, not recently. Columbine was quite a couple of years ago, and the Virginia Tech murders. You all will recognize these two as the killers in the Columbine shootings. And when they went into school, they did not have assault rifles. In fact, they were carrying a weapon that looked exactly like this, and that this was held magazines that had 10 rounds in it. So by the laws that are getting ready to pass, that gun would have been completely legal and they still could have owned it and could have gone in and done just as much damage as they did. It really wouldn't have changed the outcome of that situation. The Virginia Tech massacre, the shootings, you'll all recognize this gentleman. He went on a rampage and killed multiple people uh, carrying nothing but a handgun. Simple handgun, police issued, looks just like this. Nothing spectacular about it. Um, the only difference between these people and the ones that carry assault rifles with high capacity magazines are they had to carry more magazines. That's all they did. That's all they did was carry more magazines, and were able to do just as much harm with them. Just to give you a little bit of a demonstration here, it's said that a 30 round magazine can be fired off in just over 6 to 8 seconds. That's pulling the trigger one after another, boom, 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 boom. It would take about 6 to 8 seconds to fire off those 30 rounds. A trained shooter with a handgun with a 10 round magazine can shoot it off in about 13 seconds or so, and it does not take long to change a magazine, as I will demonstrate here. I have a regular 9mm pistol, Springfield X9, nothing spectacular about it. And I was in the military, so I was trained. So I'm going to take this a little slower just to show you how even an untrained person can still unload and load a handgun relatively quickly. And then this gun itself, just like an assault rifle, every time you pull the trigger, a bullet's going to come out until the magazine's done and you have to empty it. So in order to reload it, all you got to do, pop that out, put a new one in. That's it. I don't know if you have a stopwatch on you, but that did not take a long time at all. So banning high capacity magazines just makes it so that these criminals have to go and carry more ammunition with them, carry uh, more magazines with them. It's not really going to stop the problem. It's not going to save things. People that want to commit mass murder are going to do it. That I think that's one of the big things that we have to get our heads around here is that when you create these laws, the laws are only affecting the people that are following the laws. If somebody's going out to do a mass murder or do a school shooting, they're not considering the law. They're not worried about what's going to happen to them if they get arrested. What are the penalties to them when they get caught? They're going out to wreak havoc and to just kill mass people. Case in point here, everyone I'm sure remembers this image. That's the Oklahoma City bombing. Timothy McVeigh, never, although he was a highly trained marksman in the military, still I believe holds many of the marksman records for the military. That day he killed hundreds of people, yet didn't pick up a gun. All he had to do was drive a van under a building with a ton of explosives, and you all saw what happened. You all saw the mass murder that he created. Um, and obviously, everyone remembers these horrifying images of the World Trade Center. Again, no guns involved. These people, these crazy psychopaths that are willing, that want to create havoc and mass destruction, they're going to find a way to do it. And it doesn't matter whether it's gun. You take away the guns, they're going to make bombs. You find a way to stop bombs, they'll go back to cutting people up. Mass murderers have been killing people with knives for years. People who are crazy and are going to be crazy regardless of what the law says about the type of gun and how many rounds in a magazine you can have. It's not going to affect the people who break the law. The only people that it's going to affect are the law-abiding gun owners. Like myself, I'm a law-abiding gun owner. I have a permit to carry a concealed weapon loaded. It I follow that law very strictly. I abide by it. And I'm not going to do anything illegal with my gun. I have my gun for all lawful purposes, and that's it. To protect myself, to protect my home, to protect my wife. It's for my personal safety. And I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm going to follow those laws. Again, though, these people that do all these heinous acts are going to do them regardless of the laws. Um, I have here a picture of last week the bombing. Well, sorry, it was 2 weeks ago at this point. The bombings down at the marathon, and you have SWAT personnel up here with assault rifles that were trying to catch this guy. How different could it have been if say he had broken into somebody's house and the citizens in there were murdered? If you take the guns out of the civilians' hands, they can't protect themselves. It's a Second Amendment right in our Constitution that we have the right to bear arms. And I really don't think that it matters what type of weapon we're talking about here. It, it really could make a bit of difference what we're talking about. No, when the Constitution was written, we didn't have these high capacity magazines or assault rifles, but it really shouldn't matter because it's not the law abiding citizens. I mean, I have here a picture of the shooter from the movie theater out in Colorado. How different could that have been if somebody in the theater had a gun and could protect the people? Would less people have died? Would nobody have died? I mean, the police, while they do serve a great purpose, and I respect every one of them for the job they do, they can't be everywhere at every time. There are numerous cases where you hear on a daily basis citizens essentially taking on the role of law enforcement and stopping crimes from happening because they are legal gun owners. Um, there's been a count where a school shooting was hindered was stopped because the principal had a gun with him and he was able to stop the shooters. Just on the news a couple weeks ago, I saw about a guy who was beating up his girlfriend in plain day and probably would have beat her to death if this concerned citizen hadn't approached him and hadn't had a gun to pull on him and tell him to stop. Sure, the police could have done it, but who's to say they would have got there in time? This guy was there, he was on the scene, had a gun, took it in his own hands, and stopped him. No, I'm not saying we should have people out running around with guns, being vigilantes, and trying to protect everybody and stuff like that. But if it's a legal reason to have the gun, why wouldn't you carry it? Why wouldn't you have it? Um, one of my cases in point is prohibition. Prohibition in this country was about a 10-year stretch um, where they outlawed alcohol, the sale, the making of alcohol, the consumption of alcohol. They outlawed it completely. And during that time in history, crime rate rose about 24%. It went up dramatically. I have a pie chart here to show you. Right here is prohibition, right in this small section here, and you can see it started from 1910. It was relatively low, and then it went up because they outlawed something that the entire population wanted. And then after prohibition, when they made alcohol okay to consume and purchase again, it's steadily started to drop again. It was when you take something away from the general public that they feel is a God-given right and they feel is something that they should have, that's when organized crime comes in and are able to uh, are able to just just do horrible things, and crime rises. Here I have a picture of guns that not purchased on the street but were actually made in prison. Now everyone knows guns are illegal in prison. You cannot have guns, but look at what these people were able to make in prison with just the stuff that they had access to, and they were in prison. They couldn't go out to the local hardware store and buy a bunch of stuff and fabricate this stuff. So if you outlaw these guns, is it really going to take them out of the criminals' hands? Because they already all exist. You can't you can't go door to door and search everyone's house and take away the guns. You're just outlawing the sale of them from now forward. So that's not really going to stop. There's still hundreds of thousands of these weapons already in homes all across America, but yet it's not going to stop the problem. These people are going to get a hold of these guns. One of the things I would like to say is that I would be an advocate for making stricter laws on how you receive guns. The criminal background check that you have to do, the mental stability of people buying guns. I mean, clearly these people that are getting guns are unable are unstable to get them, to have them. They're not in their right frame of mind. However, that there in case is a bad um, is something that really you have to go tread lightly on and figure out a way to do that, because the Newtown town school shootings. This gentleman here, he was mentally unfit. He was not able to purchase a gun, but yet he was still able to get them from his family. It's something where we need more education on it. We need to have better training of people with weapons. We need to have stricter laws on who can get them. I mean, there are still states in this country where they can host gun shows, and you can go and buy a gun that day and take it home with you. Go to your local ammo store, buy bullets. I do agree that there should be a waiting period. There should be a cool down period where, okay, you want a gun, you have to wait for it. You have to go through. They have to go through their security checks. I mean, it's really something that I feel strongly about. That it's not necessarily outlawing the guns; it's making it harder to get them. And I have no issues with that, because guess what? If you're a law-abiding citizen, if you're of right mental mind, and you're going to use the gun for all lawful purposes, you shouldn't have an issue. Waiting. It's not going to be that big of a deal to wait whatever, a month for the gun. I mean, what do you need the gun for right away? Hunting, keeping your house safe? Well, guess what? You don't have it now. So if you have to wait for it, it's not that big of a deal. Um, like I said, there's just so many instances where guns in the hands of civilians do good as opposed to harm. And I can't go back to the point enough that the people that are committing these heinous crimes are breaking the law. And I just find it ridiculous that a couple weeks ago at the Boston Marathon bombings, they didn't blame the bombs. They right away they blamed the bombers, the terrorists. It's their fault. It was the terrorists that committed this crazy act. But yet when we have a school shooting or something like that, a mass murder with a gun, all of a sudden this huge topic comes up about gun control, gun control, gun control, and it needs to be under control and everything. It doesn't seem right in my eyes. I don't feel that it's right taking the guns out of people's hands. And honestly, I really don't think that it's going to stop the problem. Crazy people, they've been crazy all throughout history, and they find a way to wreak the havoc and murder that they want to wreak. Maybe we need to look into getting those people more help and getting them off the street as opposed to taking guns out of law-abiding citizens' hands that really have that right and have had that right since the beginning of this country. Thank you for listening to my rant. It's something I feel strongly about, and as prior military, I feel that if trained properly, guns are not a bad thing. They're a machine. They do what they're meant to do. The gun doesn't point itself at anybody. Somebody points that gun at the person. So, and I was trained that you don't point a gun at anything you don't want to kill. And clearly, these crazy people want to kill people. So they're going, regardless if you take the guns out of their hands, they're going to make bombs. They're going to drive a car into somebody. They'll find a way. They're crazy. That's the point. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.